we cast the net wide across the political spectrum and the legal spectrum to ensure that what we proposed was strong. But it is clear from the result that we were not able to reach you through that, and we were not able to reach you and cut through what has been the single largest misinformation campaign that this country has ever seen.
I want to recognise that for many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, this campaign has been a heavy weight to carry, and this result will be very hard to bear.
It was a really tough result. It was a tough result for me, more so I think for the team that I work with, the campaign team and everybody that was associated with that, and especially for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and a lot of our supporters. I'll talk about the T of Indigenous Australia, so up through the middle of Central Australia and across the top of remote Australia, where you saw the majority Indigenous polling booths and communities voting yes very strongly. Yarrabah, Palm Island, Torres Strait, across through the Kimberley. So the people that would have most benefited from the Voice, a successful yes vote, there was a lot of talk about black elites and all of this stuff, but when it boils down to the actual result, it was the remote Indigenous people across Australia that said yes, they want this. So that's good in a way that it validated the need for the Voice, it validated the need for the campaign, but also heartbreaking that those people that would have most benefited didn't get the result that would have enabled that to happen. So that's been tough. That's probably been the toughest part to mull through the last few months. It was a singularly unique pocket of time, that day of the referendum itself. I wrote the speech in 10 minutes on referendum day in a room by myself in campaign headquarters, and I just spider diagram, mind mapped the speech that I was going to give later on that night, obviously anticipating at that stage that it was going to be an unsuccessful vote, and so I'd crafted it that way. I'd thought about it beforehand, but it wasn't until then that I was prepared to put pen to paper on what that speech would look like. And I think it's important, I stand by that speech 100%. I know some parts of it have been picked out by critics that have said that I only talked about, basically implied that only people with hard hearts voted no, and that I lumped the blame for the lack of success on disinformation only. And I was at pains, and if you understand the full speech, I said that I wanted to acknowledge that there were people with good hearts that voted no for their own reasons, and that we were unable to provide them with the comfort and the security that they needed to get behind and vote yes. And I did also say that I wanted to speak to the people with hardness in their hearts that did vote no.
I want to speak very directly to those Australians who voted no with hardness in your hearts. Please understand that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have never wanted to take anything from you. We have never, and will never, mean you no harm.
It got to a point in the campaign that we were almost unable to say that there were people with racist motivations that were voting no, and that there were people with hard hearts that were voting no. It's hard for me, even now, these months on, it still feels fairly fresh, the result. And I am going to go through phases and stages of my response to this, but I don't feel guilt. I don't feel shame. In fact, I feel the opposite. I feel incredible pride for what we did and what we stood for and how we did it, and pride in the people that I worked with and campaigned with. The challenge we've got at the moment is not just to settle for an expectation of what the next report's going to say and the lack of progress and and the lack of meaningful improvement in the lives of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. We should be focused, and we should be refocusing on looking at those reforms that are going to make a real change. I'd hope that there's room across the political spectrum to refocus on those reforms. I think there needs to be some political healing there as well. What I would fear as a legacy from that referendum campaign is that there can be easy political points scored off Indigenous issues, that we can await the next flare-up in a town or a community and just get some talking head political points scoring off the back of what is actually human misery and hardship and trauma.